Hi, guys. All right, I have a special treat for you today. I want to introduce to you Alan Venable. First, I want to say Alan Venable has been a great friend to me over the years. I think we met I think I was his banker at like one of the banks I worked at. And after that, I went into business on my own. And he has been a guiding light for me in my business since then. He has done several jobs for me. I always feel very protected. I feel when I talk to him, sometimes business can be very you know, haunting and daunting and hard. But having a friend like Alan Venable and having a firm like Venable Law on your side when you need help is amazing. So I just wanted to say he didn't know I was going to say that. I just wanted to say that to you guys, and I do want to introduce you to Anna. Alan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Alan?
Sure, Tina. And I just want to echo that I've enjoyed representing you over the years. It's been quite a while now since we first met, but I think we were both youngsters then. But it's moved along pretty well. In terms of me, my practice centers upon business issues, real estate issues, and probate issues, particularly when they involve real estate and or business. So I've been practicing about 22 years at this point. I'm a native Detroiter. Um, in addition to that, I've worked at a number of different law entities, but I really have enjoyed representing small businesses and medium-sized businesses. They have a lot of the, I guess you would say, kitchen table issues that are still right on their kitchen table, as opposed to a lot of the larger companies who, they have federal oversight and other issues that get involved with how they operate. But these businesses, for the most part, are you and me, your everyday individual who's trying to carve out a better life for themselves and for their families by using their ingenuity and their entrepreneurship to push them forward. So, I specialize in helping those type of law firms, those type of businesses, and my law firm is geared specifically for that task.
Amazing. Oh man, and I can tell you, we'll be on here forever if I had to tell you guys all of the things that he has helped me with. So I can't even say that, but can you share a bit about what drives you as an attorney? Why do you, and I know you just said you love helping the small businesses, but can you get a little bit more specific about what drives you to work in this industry?
Well, they say I was a lawyer before I was a lawyer. So, that was a part of just growing up and dealing with that type of thing. But, the thing that propels me mostly is trying to do something good for my client.
Mm,
So, you can term it as helping them, but, the help may be defending them against charges.
mm,
The help may be bringing a lawsuit on their behalf to make sure they get justice on the contract.
mm, mm.
It may be dealing with real estate issues in the municipality or with a particular adverse party. But for the most part, when they come in, they need help. They're trying to identify what it is. I help them identify it. And that makes me feel good, obviously. And it's uniquely, I guess you would say, um, a good position for an attorney to be in because your problems, for the most part, are things that I'm supposed to help you solve. So that's what I do.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. I know it's rewarding too. You've definitely helped a lot of people in our community. I would say, we need help. We are underserved, underrepresented, and you are one of the champions, the heroes out there, really helping us navigate in a world where we might not know what is legal and what is not. Some things are not, some things are counterintuitive too. And you give those like advices. I remember one time you said that this is totally, I just remember one time you said you are, what was the word? You are mistaking legality for morality. And I just was like, okay, like he know what he talking about. Like it was so crazy. I was like, oh, that's okay. Morality, we want to be moral and legal, but it sometimes it's just not the same thing. And that was so crazy. Well, it should be the same thing, but sometimes it may or may not be. So can you tell me, like you said, do you have notable success stories, either personal or from your work, that you like to share?
Hmm. Success stories in terms of litigation, in terms of, I would say, the last 2 years, about 2 years ago, I served as the president of the Wolverine Bar Association,
Mm,
and that was an honor. Um, Prior to that, I had probably provided somewhere around 9 to 10 years of service to Black bar associations,
mm,
including the National Bar Association, which is the national bar association for all attorneys in the country. I served on their board of directors for 2 years. I worked with the Stricker Bar Association for 9 years, and then I worked 3 years with the Wolverine Bar Association. And in that role, for the most part, I was a leader who was focused on trying to make sure that not only was our legal community satisfied, including our Black law students, but also the legal community satisfied the Black community,
mm.
opening up doors, helping them receive resources, and being open and receptive. So that's one thing I'm particularly proud of. Um, it definitely was an honor.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I know a lot of our business owners kind of want to know, some, we sometimes we don't have the chance to talk to somebody like you with your experience. And I do want to say not all attorneys are created equally. With my personal experience with you, I have not, you make it easy. Some of these things are scary. You're going into you want to get justice, you've been done wrong, something happened. And I remember you had been on a case for mine. I didn't even know you had appeared in court like 3 or 4 times, and the last time you were like, okay, I've been there 3 or 4 times about this, but you got to come this time, because you have to be there. I did, because I'm a small business owner. I didn't know it was that in depth. I thought you just write something, and then I don't even know what I thought, because I'm not a lawyer. You are, so I mean, you make legal things, and I would say more litigation too, because yeah, you can talk about contracts, but sometimes you have to go to court and deal with things. You can talk to people and kind of negotiate, but sometimes you have to go to court, and you make it easy. So what I want to ask you now is, what are some common misconceptions or mistakes people make in your industry, particularly related to small business owners?
Common mistakes. Well, there's a lot of those.
Mm,
If you don't have a reference as to what the law is. Um, but let me comment on one thing I wanted to mention. One of the ways that I do try to make it easier for my clients is, um, I have a consultation that I do. Right, I charge between 250 and 750 for people to come in. We'll sit down for an hour or more, and we'll go over your issues.
mm,
However many you got, as long as I know what they are and can prepare to be able to give you advice on them, you can come and sit down with me, and I can provide you with legal advice on those issues. So sometimes you're not necessarily looking to file a lawsuit, but you have 4 or 5 or 1 or 2 different issues that you're going to need addressed. You would prefer to have some type of legal, um not sure what's going on, but some type of legal advice related to it, and the consultation serves that purpose to make it easier so that you can get the advice. You don't have to stay stuck at a roadblock, and then you can move forward on those issues.
Alan, I was just showing your website, but yeah, I can
Oh,
personally
I
say
can't
I've
see it.
used. Oh, you can't see it. It's popped. It's up here. That there, guys, if you want to get that consultation, his website is venablelawpllc.com. And I can personally attest to using those consultations myself. You might not know which way to go. And I know, sometimes I'm in there, I'm sending them stuff, and he's totally prepared, before I get there. And he's like, okay, these are the issues. This is what he show you how to move forward. And I'm just saying, guys, I personally know that's how Alan operates. But going back to the small business owners, what are some of the like in your opinion, what are some of the mistakes? I would say not having your attorney look at your contracts before you sign them. I've done that a couple of times where then I had to contact you after to see, like, look, the person didn't do what they had said. Can you tell me, stuff like that?
Well, one of the bigger problems that I have is that a lot of first time business owners rely too heavily on what they heard,
Mm,
too heavily on the internet, too heavily on people who give them advice, and all of them are wrong,
mm,
right? So it's not just an issue of, well, did I file my corporate papers correctly? Or did I, deal successfully with my unemployment insurance information? But it's also, dovetailing on what you're saying, getting information from bad sources and then acting on it, right? So that's one of the reasons why I have the consultation, is so that you could come and get real information, real legal advice, and be able to rely upon it and be able to move forward, as opposed to, my uncle told me this, and my father used to own a business back in 1986, and, so on and so forth. Those things are not necessarily the evil in the world, but they can and will lead you astray if you're going to be entering into something that's going to be, if it has any type of regulatory structure from the state of Michigan associated with it, right? If it has any type of requirements relating to what you have to do in order for taxes, it's all over the board. But for the most part, I am tired of getting those calls from people talking about, I'm a sovereign individual,
mm.
and I'm not subject to the laws of the United States. And can you help me do X, Y, Z? Or, this whole, well, again, the problems you guys have, I'm supposed to provide solutions for. So, I'm happy to address any of the issues, but it's better if you get it from somebody that you're paying and has done the job. You know, Somebody who's done it over 20 years, they've probably, as I think it's State Farm says, they know a little bit about a little bit, and they can help guide you, especially if you're new, or, you may be 5 or 6 years in, to make sure you get it right.
Oh man, that's some nuggets, guys. That's some nuggets. And I, like I said, I can definitely attest to, the care that you've taken for me over the years. And helping me out of mistakes. I decided something I wasn't supposed to sign, and you was like, Tina, you supposed to let me look at it first. Like he will whoop you guys. He will give you a whooping. So I just want to kind of let you know that up front. Be okay with a whooping. All right. All right. So now I wanted to talk to you about that BOIR. You mentioned something, or you sent me a court case about the BOIR, and I wanted you to discuss some of the BOIR case and the impacts on small businesses regarding to that BOIR. I'm actually going to share you guys the screen really quickly so that you can see. Let me add it up to the stage. um they have a financial crimes enforcement network, where is the beneficial ownership information reporting. And I know you have that interesting case where they had small businesses were saying it was. I'm going to let you say it because you are a lawyer and you know what it's about. So I'm going to get off of here and let you talk.
Okay, well, the report is simply something that helps denote who the owners, beneficial owners, individuals who have power and influence within a particular company, including LLCs and corporations, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't apply to every single one, like those who have federal reporting obligations because they're already on the stock exchange or some other factor, are not subject to it. But you still need to look and make sure that your business is subject to it. And if you are, you need to file it. So it's only going to ask, certain information about, and it's detailed, about who the owners are, where they live, what their name is, how long they've had their interest, how much of the interest they have, so on and so on and so on. It's designed to assist the government in trying to detect financial crimes, money laundering, and I admit probably to assist them in RICO investigations as well. It's one of the reasons why, because of those issues, many people have filed objections to having to provide the information because they are money laundering. They are engaged in a lot of bad activity. And, until now, I'm not aware of anywhere in America where it requires you to state who the owners of a company are.
Mm.
So the state of Michigan doesn't require you to say any ownership of anything. What we ask for is, well, you need to tell me who your treasurer is. You need to tell me who your secretary is. All of these individuals don't need to own any interest in a company.
Mm.
They can be employees, they can be volunteers, they can be whatever, but that doesn't mean that they're the owners of the company. So you have this large number of companies in America registered in Delaware and Michigan and all these different places. And there's nowhere that registers to say who's getting what, how the money is flowing. And rather than the government trying to figure it out, they're making you tell them.
Mm.
So that's essentially what it is.
Wow, you are so correct. When you look at it, the state filing in Michigan, I've had companies when I registered, my attorney was the registered agent. It wasn't me. When you go on things like Nolo and I forget those places, you can have them as your registered agent and not your name on there. So, wow, that's amazing. And like you're saying, the owners don't even have to be on there. Can you tell me what are the ripple effects you foresee though for the U.S. economic development, especially for very small businesses and BIPOC and women-owned enterprises in filing this, or if they miss filing this form?
Well, there are penalties associated with not filing it. Now, right now, there's no requirement to file it because it's been stayed.
Mm.
And in fact, there are several different cases in different jurisdictions and even involving different parties. But ultimately, it stayed for the moment until they figure out whether or not it violates the U.S. Constitution. Excuse me. So you don't have to do anything right now.
Wow. Wow.
Right. But, obviously, once it's reinstated, assuming that it will be, um, you will have to file timely. And if you don't, the penalties are pretty significant. I believe it's like $500 a day. So,
Yes.
um, you don't want to miss that and then have this big debt and then have all of these other issues going down. Um, and it's pretty easy to file. You can do it online,
I
so on and so forth. Now, I'm not an advocate for filing or for the law itself, but I am an advocate of complying with the law, making sure that we don't create more problems as we move forward than we need to. So it's easier just to go online, put the information in, and move it forward. The problem becomes, which I deal with a lot, and you talk about common mistakes for small businesses, is a lot of these small businesses have owners that are off the books. And off the books, two steps off the books rather than just one step off the book, right? They gave money to someone and they don't appear on any paperwork ever, but they're still getting some type of money. So they want to stop that because that's the classic issue of dealing with money laundering.
Really?
Correct. So they want you to disclose who is the owner of this particular company or who are the group of owners. So, individuals who don't want to have discussions about where their money comes from are definitely against, this particular provision, but it's what they're really looking to get at. And it's one of the common issues that come into play because you'll have someone saying, well, I'm an owner, right? I should be able to do X, Y, Z. And they're like, well, you're not on anything. I don't know how you're going to enforce this in court. If you gave money for a business, you gave them 100,000 and you don't show up on anything and you didn't get a written promissory note, I'm not taking this case to court. It's pretty straightforward, because, and then you're going to have to discuss all the things you don't want to discuss. And most of the times over over the last 20 years, individuals who are in that situation, I just advise them about how to get what they're trying to get without leaving themselves in a vulnerable situation.
Got you.
And, a simple agreement about the money being lent or the money being given or the money being a loan is all that's necessary. And if you want to have it come from a business instead of from you directly, we can set up a business, right? And you can loan money from that business to this other business. But there's more than one way to skin a cat. You don't have to be non-compliant with the law in order to try to get the thing that's going to help you the most.
Wow, you said a mouthful because it's just getting that consultation from someone that knows how to do it. There's always a way for you to get what you want legally and compliantly is what you're saying, but you have to, instead of just making something up or doing a handshake deal, you should contact someone like yourself at Venable Law and just get a simple agreement put together, or at least just discuss should what type of agreement that would be. So I mean that's some nuggets, guys. That's some nuggets. I'm just gonna tell you guys that. All right, Alan, at QT Business Solutions, we specialize in helping small businesses secure funding, develop business plans, and navigate the challenges of starting, growing, and scaling their ventures. From your perspective, how do legal decisions like the BOR influence organizations like QT Business Solutions in their ability to support entrepreneurs?
Well, I think whenever there's more regulation, right, it makes a flag or a red light, go off. That there's some stuff out there that not only I may or may not have known about, but I do know I'm going to have to comply with it or pay attention to make sure that I can do what I need to do without it stopping me. So, that's the first thing I think about how it affects businesses, because it really should make you think more and more about, well, I probably want to check and make sure I get this official designation and official understanding about what's going on. I have this conversation with my family members all the time about, let's say we're talking about something and, a family member says X and everybody in the room is like, where do you get that from? And then it was like, I got that off of Lollapalooza News 45. And we're like, Come on now. I mean, at least go to CBS News or CNN and double check it. I mean, don't just roll into this conversation. You can't do that in this family. But, you know, at the same time, that happens all the time in business. People get stuff from different places and think that, they can rely on it, but you always need to double check it with the reliable source, right?
Seriously.
In that instance, I'm using CBS News and CNN, but in the business world, just call the lawyer. You know, I think I make it a little easy for people to come in and get some information, but you know, if not, you can get on your grind and really start to look up some things and figure it out for yourself. You know, needing a lawyer, most people don't want to need a lawyer, right? Most people want to be able to handle it themselves. They know they're intelligent. They believe their industry and their particular business may not be heavily intensive in terms of the legal work involved. There are a lot of different things that people believe and they tell themselves, and that, not even getting to the issue of whether or not they believe they have the money, right? But the bottom line comes down to when you put your money into a business, and I want to make this very clear, you need to protect your money.
Mm.
You need to protect your investment. You don't need to be starting over because you made too many mistakes and didn't know it up front.
Oh, wow.
You need to know what you know. You need to know what you don't know. And you need to be very clear about the difference between those two things. And if you can do that, then you can pick and navigate, because you're like, you know what? I just don't know this. So I'm going to go get help with this. These things I know. And as long as you're right about that, you're going to have a successful path as a business person moving forward.
Oh my gosh, Alan, that is, oh man, that just kind of like got in my soul, because sometimes you think you know what you don't know, and you still need to call your lawyer because you think you know, but you don't know for real. So, like you said, you need to know that you know what you know and know what you don't know. And then that's when you got to be clear. And then you need to contact your attorney. And I want to just say too, for me, I love needing an attorney. Okay. So, guys, I would just say, you know, you need to have an attorney. Here's the thing. When I get some legal stuff in the mail, I don't even read it. I'll be like, oops, that's for Alan. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have, I'm an excitable person. You know what I'm saying? Like, have you ever had stuff that just worry you, and it's on Friday? You got an email, it's Friday at 5 o'clock. You can't call nobody because it's the weekend, and you just worrying all weekend, and then on Monday you find out it's nothing. When I see legal stuff, when I see like a legal thing come to me, and guys, when you're in business, you're gonna get legal things. Stuff is gonna happen. You're gonna have legal stuff. You're gonna have to legal on somebody else, right? That's what usually has to happen. You have to legal some stuff. Now I know that's not a term, Allie. but you gonna have to have that legal stuff happening. I don't even read it. I don't even read it. I just say, this the email for Alan. This the email for Alan. So, Alan, I say, how much it's going to cost for you to read it? Because I don't even want to read it. I don't even want to read it. I want you to tell me what's on that legal stuff. So, guys, I love having somebody that I can call and just say, hey, this is what this is. Can you tell me, because the legalese might scare you. You might be a little afraid of the legalese, but he could put it into like plain words. This is what's going on. We got to do this. Okay, cool. That's what I'm talking about.
Can I add one thing on that?
Yes, go ahead.
So my background, I didn't go into it as much in the very beginning, but I started out at a large law firm, over 170 attorneys in Detroit. In fact, the Ford family's attorney. I worked there for 6 years. I litigated $100 million cases. I've
Whoa.
litigated a lot of different matters and different issues in the three areas I talked about earlier. But I started my own firm after about 6 years. So I understand what the big guys are talking about. I beat them in court. I've won these type of cases. So I have a unique perspective, meaning that I don't fear the big guys because I've already beaten them. I was trained by the big guys. And I believe this is the type of advice from someone of that background that can really help Black businesses, because we really need to get out of the fear factor that comes with, I don't even want to know the answer because I'm afraid of what it might be. Right. So, you need to understand that there are, and there are more Allen Venables out there. There ain't too many more, but there are more people out here who are willing to help. I definitely learned that by being the bar president. And, so don't have a fear of being able to go in and find out what you need to find out.
Thank you so much for that. And guys, it's going to cost you more to find out the hard way. So just come up with your consultant fee and then find out. It just costs a little bit more. My peace of mind, I'd rather pay 250 to 750. Even if it's I know I'm not gonna win. At least I know, at least I know what the factors are. At least I know that. So I just, sometimes if you're in business, you need to have a budget. We write business plans at QT Business Solutions. In every single business plan we write, we add a little budget in there for monthly in your projections. I put legal expenses monthly. It doesn't have to, you might not use it every month, but at least you should have it. So hold on one second. Got a call. All right. So at least you should have like some money in your budget to, just in case. You might not be able to afford retainers and things like that, but you should have some budget, so if something does happen, you can pick up the phone, call Alan, and get a consultation. You shouldn't be scraping for consultation money. I'm sorry, Alan, we got to get real over here.
Well, I wouldn't say it in the same exact way, but I agree with 100%. What I normally tell my clients is, like, come on now. 250, that's a good night going up in the club, isn't it? Right. That's a great dinner, with a couple, bottles of wine and so on and so forth. So, just keep in mind, your entertainment budget could be your legal budget, right? And you can be making a lot more money than you're going to be making off of that bottle of wine that you drank last week.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Oh my God. I totally agree. And I think I would say in our community, we just have to learn. We have to learn about priorities too. I write business plans for a living. My company does. And a lot of times we don't put money, we don't budget for the priorities. Okay, legal expenses in a business, that's a priority. Okay, your rent, you got to pay your rent at your spot, or you're not going to have an office. You got to pay your employees, or you're not going to have any employees. You definitely have to have legal advice from somewhere. You got to have it in your budget so that you can, operate, because those things, as small business owners, those things can harm you. Those things can put you out of business. Those things can cause you to not have payroll. So if you don't have someone trusted like Alan in your corner, and you don't have enough money to just even get a consultation, we need to get into another business, guys. We got to have revenues we got to have enough revenues to pay for services. So let's get into the mindset moving forward of saving and having a budget for these things.
And some of these issues you're not going to be able to avoid, even if you want to, just because of Murphy's Law. The classic issue that I see businesses, they just can't get around, is human resource issues, right? Someone starts dating someone harasses someone believes you discriminated against them. You paid somebody under the table, and they file a claim with the Wage and Hour Division of the state of Michigan against you for not giving them overtime, for not giving them their appropriated money. So, under my business services, I deal with human resources. I have a master's degree in labor relations and human resources, and I've combined that along with my legal expertise to be able to advise and give information on human resource matters. So, I don't know any business that doesn't have human resource issues when they've had to terminate someone, when they've had to figure out whether or not if they let someone who was over 50 go, what that means in terms of their liability, whether it's a whistleblower issue. All of these things fall under the business services context, but for the most part, it's very difficult to avoid them. They catch up with you no matter what you do.
That's Oh my God, you dropping so much nuggets. And then some things, like you said, I didn't think, to think of if I got employees over 50, what to do, so that's something I'm probably going to call you about because, I mean, I don't have any on my team now, but I have had people over 50 on my team. So, and that's something that I might have on my team in the future. So I'm pretty much probably going to call you about that. Um, Let me ask you this. What advice do you have for individuals or small business owners? Well, you just said that navigating today's challenge. You just said get an attorney. So let me ask you this. Is there a message you like to share with our audience or a topic you like to promote?
Um, just, try to be the best business person that you can be. The more you try to follow the state and narrow, the more you don't get hit with everything that comes down going down the crooked road, right? So, that's the basic advice. But, I love Black businesses. I love small businesses. I love all of the type of things that really help propel our economy, our world, that help you take care of your family, right? Because that's where a lot of it comes down to. What can I do to take care of my family, right? Is it a better deal for me to run a business than it is for me to be an employee, right? And many of you have faced that road before. I know, the employee versus entrepreneur um, decision and how best to be successful once you go down the road of entrepreneurship. So, just understand that there are people who understand. I too am an entrepreneur. I started my business in 2009 and I've been going strong ever since under Venable law. So, for the most part, I would say that, the best advice I got for you is do the best you can. I'm willing to help you. There are other people who are willing to help you. And, you see these fancy names and you see these logos and, you see all of these different things that we all put together to, for the most part, let people know that we are professional, that we are successful, but we are also human beings, right? So keep that in mind. You can rely on other people, especially when you get someone who you believe is proficient, is professional, is good. I go back to those people and talk to them and ask them who they use, right? Because I don't go to someone who says, well, I lost my case and I got screwed over in my divorce. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to use that lawyer. I want to find somebody that, for the most part, a successful person tells me what's successful for them.
Yes.
Right. So hold on for 1 second here. I don't know what happens to my screen. All right. So just know that we're human and that, there are people who want to help you. Help doesn't mean free. Let's be clear about that.
Can you say that again, Alan? Please say it one more time.
Help does not mean free, but it does mean you can get what you need to kind of move forward.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I'm in the consulting arena and we do a really great job of helping people get their business plan done and get their business funding. But a lot of times, we have to charge obviously for our services. And when you have a good attorney like you gotta pay your bills, you gotta pay your rent, you gotta pay other attorneys and things. So, in our community, I have found that sometimes we're asking for help without any you know way of saying you say you want help, but you got to have something. There's two sides to that. If he's bringing the help, you got to bring some cash. That's like, I'm just gonna tell you, you just got to do that. you you know he would, that we can't just help for free, because how is he gonna eat his, how he gonna eat, like we got to think about that in our community, guys. if you're asking somebody that isn't a lawyer, and they're at their profession, their value is legal advice and legal services. That's how they feed their children. That's how they, put food on the table and employ other people. We have to be okay with paying for a good, paying for services. So I'm with you there as well, because of what we do as well. So just for fun, what are the top 5 things small business owners should do to protect themselves from legal financial setbacks? And if you could just say like a funny one, not a horrible one, but something that's funny but happened that shouldn't have happened. If you know what I'm talking about.
I'm trying. You might want to rephrase that, Your Honor, but no. At this point, I would say that a lot of business owners have a really good focus, and they focus on getting their money, however they can get it, and then avoiding paying money that they shouldn't have to pay, right? So, a lawyer can help you with both, obviously. But that second one is one that I've helped a lot of businesses with. And a lot of times they're considering bankruptcy. They're considering various issues because of the prospect of this debt and its crunch dealing with their cash flow as things move forward. So I've been able to help businesses in that respect a lot, primarily because I used to collect for Comerica Bank. I used to collect for a lot of the banking institutions in Michigan, and I understand what the laws are associated with how they can collect and how that game is played. So, I'm usually able to help, I mean, like almost always able to help businesses restructure, avoid, and or in some way, get around the issue of this quote unquote, menacing threat to their business and allow them to continue to move forward without filing for bankruptcy.
Wow.
So that's one of the things that I think is kind of out there. It's not a funny story, but I wish I had one.
That's okay. That's some good stuff that you were saying. I just want to thank you for actually coming on and doing this for me. You didn't have to have the time. You didn't have to do this. I'm posting up your website again, guys. His website is Venable Law PLLC. Can you tell them how they can get in touch with you, and and get that consultation, and just how do they interact with you?
Well, the best way to get me, the easiest way to get me is I'm a direct lawyer. I don't have a lot of different gatekeepers. So, if you call this number, it'll get to where it needs to go, including to my phone. And that number is 313-623-2024. My email address should be posted on there, but it's Venable at venablelawpllc.com. So that's the easiest way to get a hold of me, or, as it has been, word of mouth, getting referrals from other individuals is another way that I get clients. But I'm always happy to listen to you and figure out what we can do for you. Sometimes we can help, few times we can't help, but either way, you'll know exactly where we are on something. You won't get, a simple situation where, we just say, I can't help you and go away. You'll get the I can't help you and this is why, or you get I can help you and this is what I can help do for you.
Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate you for doing this. I think this is so valuable for small business owners, especially, in our community where sometimes we're trying to figure it out. We're going on Google, we're going on everywhere, and all we got to do is pick up the phone, go on your website, find out a little bit of information. And you doing this and just comment on here for us and sharing a little bit of your expertise. I didn't even know that was your background. And I've been knowing you for a long time. I know that you know what you're doing. I know you made me feel safe when I had to have some legal issues. You won a lot of cases for me. So specifically, so I appreciate you, and I thank you. Any final words before we go?
Nope, I appreciate you for having me on. it's always good for me to take the time to try to reach out and, let other people know that I am here and willing to help. I'm definitely proud because this came about because of a successful representation for you over, a long period of time. So, it's genuine and it's heartfelt.
All right, guys. Again, you can reach Alan. He said it was 313-623-2024. Or you can reach him at the email listed there. And I'll be posting this his contact information in the comments as well. Bye, guys.
Take care, everyone.